Welcome to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm your host, Tricia Carr. Thank you for being here with me today. Well, I have a couple of things to tell you about before we bring on the wonderful, luminous special guest today. First of all, I want to say hello to the Lightworkers Lab, the online spiritual community of which I am a guide and a teacher. It is founded by my dear friend Crystal Ann Compton. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Lightworkers Lab, I think. Anyway, search for the Lightworkers Lab. It'll come up as a group. And we are just doing all kinds of things there every single day, really. All kinds of intuitive teachers and readers and healers going up and offering their services. And the resources are just boundless. And I'm up every Wednesday. And so I would love for you guys to go and check it out because it really has a lot to do with what we're talking about today. I also have a Facebook group, and I'm up there live very frequently, at least once a week, it seems. And my Facebook group is Facebook.com. Don't laugh at me, Jarvis. Jarvis over there laughing at me. Are you heckling? Facebook.com/groups/Charmed Life Love. You could just find it by my social media handles are at Tricia Carr Charm. And actually, there is something I told you I needed 3 things to talk about, Jarvis. There's actually 4, so we count off 1 so far. I could actually make notes, right? That would work. But I like to play it, in the moment. I'm very optimistic. I was actually, my friend, Crystal's husband, Jeremy, my friend Crystal I just mentioned, yesterday was talking about like all the things that he was planning to do this week. And Crystal's like, "You're not going to get that done." He goes, "No, I'm very optimistic." Anyway, it made me laugh. And so I'm very optimistic about getting all the things done. I just, that's what it is. So, sometimes it feels like it's spin, but spin is like a political term about being false. Spirit actually talked to me about this yesterday. That spin is, you know what I'm talking about? Spin? Yeah, when you say you're going to spin a story and it's like you're being false, you're being, deceptive. Well, Spirit said, no, y'all put a spin on it. And Spirit talks to me that way with the Texas accent. It's like, no, okay, but I want you to redeem the idea of spin. Instead of thinking about when you're going to spin your perspective on a situation, you're just finding the light in it. That's what we do as spiritual seekers. Okay. We're not like trying to deceive someone else, but I'm going to put a spin on things because there are infinite perspectives. So anyway, I'm on a thing, but I'm saying I'm optimistic about getting all the things done at the beginning of the show. And Jarvis has to remind me also. That's okay because he likes to participate. I'm looking out for you. I don't know why I'm on a thing. I'm a little silly this morning. All right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was my Patreon community. That is patreon.com/Tricia Carr because there is a very powerful event happening tomorrow, Monday. And if you're listening to this in an archive, don't worry, it's happening all the time. I do a hangout at the new moon, and I do a live group meditation or activation, or both, basically activating light codes and purpose and all, your 11th dimensional aspect. Seriously, y'all, we are multidimensional. But tomorrow is the full moon group meditation activation, and it's being channeled right now, what's going to be happening. I mean, like the last couple of days. And it is actually an activation of our Atlantean experience. So what you want to do is go to my Patreon page and you join at I think it's the $5 or $7 tier, and you can join us. You'll get access to it. And then I also send it out as a produced MP3 so that you can enjoy it. You could own it, enjoy it on your own at another time. So I would love for you guys to check that out. And I really do love Patreon. I like the engagement there. All right. The next thing I want to tell you about is my animal communication program. Registration is live. We will be starting at the end of July with this 4-week education and coaching. So who loves animals and nature? We're going to learn how to telepathically and telempathically communicate in detail with nature and with our amazing, lovely, unconditionally loving-oriented animals. And that's what we're going to be doing together. You start practicing right away, and it's going to be a deep dive coaching and education. So to take part in that, there is actually an early bird special on this program. It's really reasonably priced for a 4-week program that is this involved and with the coaching and everything. And you can take it anywhere because it's all produced online and the engagement is online as well, like through Zoom and Facebook and all kinds of different multimedia platforms. All right, so that is triciacarcharm.com/animal-communication, or if you just go to my website, triciacarcharm.com, and go to Work With Me Healing Arts Academy, and you'll be able to find it in there. But it's triciacarcharm.com/animal-communication. Oh, look at the horsey! Look at the horsey on the edge on the page for the registration and everything. All right, one more thing. I said, oh yeah, my mentoring program is live as well, and you can find that at triciacarcharm.com/mentoring. So that is really exciting. I've been very gently opening up the spots for it, but it is a powerful engagement. So I would love for you guys to go check it out. If you are interested in opening your intuitive abilities, whether you want to be a professional intuitive in some way or another, if you want to enhance your professional intuitive sensing and modality, or particularly if you're just an artist, even if you're an accountant and you're very creative, it's actually for you to be able to be in the flow of that intuitive connection and that creative connection at all times. All right, now I'm done. And now it is time to bring on my beautiful guest. She's been on the show before. She is a healing artist like me. That's how I identify as well. And an empowerment coach. And boy, is she ever. Her name is Nicole Powers. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, Tricia. Thanks for having
me. Does Spirit talk to you with your Oklahoma accent?
No.
I was only kidding.
No, I'm going to have to take that up with Spirit. What's going on there?
Oh, wow. I'm so glad to have you on the show. And I love what you have brought from your heart today that you want to talk about, because I do think it's really important too. We want to talk about finding your spiritual tribe and finding that community for the spiritual seeker, because it really just keeps you real. It keeps you sane, right?
Yes. I think it's such a human condition that we seem to feel like we don't belong if we don't have a tribe, if we're kind of on our own without really a spiritual community around us, or any community. I want to broaden it out a little bit too. Sure. If you're a dancer and you have a dance, pack or tribe, then you feel plugged in somewhere. But if you don't have a real community and you feel sort of different than everyone else, it can be harder to just navigate through this thing called life. And so I feel like I really found my groundedness, my creativeness, even when I've been plugged into community. And so it's really important to me to let all of my clients know, let all the people I come in contact with, is find your tribe. It's such a basic message, but it's so important.
Yes. I give a lesson on 5 steps to open your intuitive abilities, and find your tribe is one of them. It's like my step number 3. Or 2.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really important. And it does, well, also by the law of fellowship, the universal law of fellowship, which shows us that as we join our light, the light grows exponentially. And that's why we also engage with teachers. And in any way, that's why we came here into the dual experience, was so that we could actually take the journey from duality back to singularity.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Can you tell us, before we get a little bit too further into the topic, I actually want to let people know more about you and the work that you're doing, because tell us about how you coach your, the empowerment, and, you're an intuitive and you're a healer. You're all kinds of things. By the way, you sent me healing yesterday for something I had going on physically, and I told you right after I could feel it, but I didn't follow up with you because I want to follow up with you today on the show. Girl, gone. The pain that I was experiencing, gone. It was seriously 3 minutes after she sent me the healing. She raised in the roof. So, yeah. Thank you so much for that. But tell folks about your work.
I love to do it, and it's one of those things. I'm not one of those people who will say I'll pray for you or I'll send you healing if I'm not actually going to do it.
Right. Absolutely.
So when someone's hurting and I have time, I love to be able to just take a little second. And it didn't take me long. It took me 2 or 3 minutes to just send you a little bit of attention and focus in on what was going on with you. So that's part of my gift. I really feel that I don't do that. I have nothing to do with it, except for that I'm willing to allow Spirit to work through me. But it's really a gifting. And so I feel like anything that's a gift should be given away.
Mm-hmm.
And, not always. I mean, I obviously get paid for that too, but I love to just, when I can, when I have time, do it. So thank you for being open to it and letting me show off a little bit.
Oh my gosh. It was amazing. Yes. Thank you so much for that. So you tell folks about your journey and your work. I mean, I know you come from the church too, like Jarvis and me, right?
I do. My spiritual journey is very strange because I wasn't raised in church as a little one. And my mom, she really didn't talk about God a lot in our home, but from a very early age, I knew there was a God or a higher power. And it was never a question to me. I never questioned, is there something after this? Is there something more than this? And about middle school, I started getting curious about church. And so I entered the church. This is another reason that finding your tribe is so important to me, because I went into the church and there were aspects of it I really loved, but there were other aspects and messages that I heard that maybe they weren't even saying, but at the time how I heard it was, you don't quite fit here.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, I heard, don't be a lukewarm Christian. And I thought, well, I don't really know, I'm still trying to find my way. I don't know if I can buy the whole cow or be on fire when I'm seeking. And so I felt a little bit, maybe this isn't the right place for me to explore or to be flawed. That was a message I received in the church that, we do things a certain way. And if you do it different than us, then you might get, ostracized.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took a while for me to kind of find places where I fit in better. And it really took, I was almost 30. I was 28 when I really started to find people that thought like me, that were willing to express it and be vulnerable. I think a lot of people that I was interacting with probably had similar questions and wounds from church that I did, but nobody was talking about it. I live in Oklahoma. I live in the Bible Belt.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of Jesus and, very little room. It seemed black and white in the circles I was running in. And I am full of color. So I didn't feel like I fit in. And it sort of hindered my spiritual journey for a little while because I thought there was really one way. That's another thing I heard in the church. There's one way. There's a right way. And that didn't work for me. So I had to back up out of the church like many of us have and find a community where really it's okay to be right where you are and to be questioning and exploring and trying on different things. And that's been really powerful for me. I've been involved in a lot of communities along the way. I change. And I need new information. I need new tools. I need new people to run with depending on what my journey looks like. And so I've been really willing to seek people out that had what I wanted or had what I needed. And then now today as a coach, that's how I attract my clients. I have something that they're looking for and I've walked it already. So I know how to say, I've already been there. Let me show you the path. And I love doing it. It's so much fun.
Yes, that's so beautiful. I had a vision after I opened up sort of metaphysically and kind of opened up to the fullness of intuitive abilities and stuff like that. My awakening, I guess you would call it. I had a vision of Jesus. Jesus came to me and said, there's no wrong way to love me. And that was really bad. It makes me want to weep right now. And it actually, it wasn't just, what we know of Jesus and, him saying, I and my Father are one. So really, he was saying there's no wrong way to love. It was almost like I heard it echo, not just love me, but love because I and my Father are one, and you and our Father are one. And so there's just no wrong way. There's no wrong path. There's no wrong method to love. And that is something, yes, limiting beliefs, structures, and systems would tell us, no, there's one way. There's one, which that boggled me too when I was in the church. I was experiencing connection and then it would be very confusing to me because there were that you have to tell me that the people who are here in this United States and this state and this church have it right, and that somehow other people across the world and God abandoned them because they don't listen in the same color of languaging and clothing or whatever we call this. Didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that never made sense to me either. And the first time I heard someone say, you can't do it wrong, I had the same response. and it was a human, but I very much feel like God sent her into my path. And she said, Nicole, you can't get it wrong. You cannot do it wrong. And she said it a couple of times in this really soothing voice. And I, like you, I just wept. Oh. And it was the first time I felt like known and seen. Mm. And I asked her to mentor me. And that sort of took me down a whole different path, because that's what I needed to hear my whole life, that I couldn't do it wrong, that no matter what, I'm loved and I'm connected, and source energy has no agenda to, sort of put me in a box. Right. And all roads lead to the one. Mm. And I've heard, I forget who the author is, but I've heard this quote that I absolutely love that says, we're the ones who put God in a box. The only reason God is in a box is because he wanted to be near us. Mm. Sometimes we have a box, a really narrow vision. And for some reason, I never had that narrow vision. And so I needed people who were being more broad. And that's what worked for me.
Mm. By the way, we are taking calls. If you would like to join us on the show to ask a question or to receive some intuitive insight. Nicole is a really wonderful reader. I know that you have sort of only embraced that about yourself in the last, probably year or so, right?
Yeah, shorter than that. It's been really recent. And yeah, I'm still warming up to sort of coming out of the spiritual closet with my friends and family. And I'm warming up to the term reader because, I've always been intuitive, but I think, and we've talked about this before, my primary clair is claircognizant. And so the clear knowing, it was hard to understand what was happening because I just know things. Yeah. And I didn't even know that I know sometimes, or know that that's a skill or a gift. It never occurred to me. It's just the way that I am. Yeah. So it took a little while for me to understand what and who and how I work. And I'm still unraveling that. I think it's a lifelong journey. We're always discovering new things.
Of course. Yes. And the number is 323-524-2599. Again, 323-524-2599. If you're listening on one of the archives, know that you can see and hear either live on Facebook or on ubnradio.com/channel1, or actually on Periscope through my Twitter feeds as well. And those are at Tricia Carr Charm and at Charmed Life 1111. And so what's so cool about that, so if you all have not heard of the different names of the clair sensing, so the word clair means clear, and we're talking about the spiritual sensing or the psychic sensing. We have 5 physical senses, and then the clair sensing is basically a mirroring of that. But there's more than 5. There's a lot more than 5. There's infinite. But claircognizance is just the sudden knowing or the persistent knowing of information that is spiritual, I guess you would say, that you don't know from the normal physical receiving instrument. And it's so interesting that people that experience claircognizance, they often, when they're understanding it or starting to understand that this is what this gift is or this ability or the way that they're sensing, they think that it isn't as cool because clairvoyance is the one we hear about, I'm going to be able to see my third eye. And, claircognizance is actually pure alignment. It's way more efficient than clairvoyance because clairvoyance is you have an image and then you have to translate it into a knowing.
Yes.
So I think it's kind of adorable that the ones who experience a lot of claircognizance are sort of shyer about it, or I don't know, you're just so aligned that you're humble. It's kind of funny to me and adorable.
Yeah, I like that perspective. It is a little harder to know that you know because you just know. So yeah, and we're I heard Justine one time. She was sort of mentoring me and giving me a reading live in the lab, and so. One thing she said is that we're taught in society and culture that we don't know. Right. And so, it's hard to really own it. It has been a difficult thing for me to be like, yes, I know. Mm-hmm. And, it seems cocky.
Yeah. I think I experienced that with the things that when we're awakening, we have that experience of, oh, wait, what I know and what I feel isn't the same as everyone else. Because it's so native to us. And that for me with animals and nature, it's such a knowing that it confuses me. that I have to explain something to, like, they're not knowing that as well. And it's an interest. It continues to unfold. Like, oh, you don't know that the cats don't think and feel that way. Oh, interesting, because I just know that, or I just feel that. And it doesn't mean you don't love your animals or you don't love spirit or you're not. It's just, it's this sort of alignment. And I guess I'm very, very aligned with animals and nature. And so that's my experience as well. And also as an empath, I didn't realize when I discovered this idea of being that empathic that other people didn't just automatically feel other people's experience and thoughts and emotions. And that's you as well, right?
Yes, that's me as well. And it took me a long time to be aware of that. There was a lot of things. It felt very much like my own emotions until I started to hear about being an empath, which I think is another reason why having a tribe is so important. If you don't hear these words, if you don't hear other people teach you things, you just don't know. And that can be about anything. My grandfather got dementia and Alzheimer's before he passed. And I went to an Alzheimer's class and support group to learn about that disease. So if you don't know about psychic ability, if you don't know what an empath is, how are you supposed to uncover and reveal things in yourself? Because you just don't have the language for what's happening.
Yeah, you don't have the mirroring, because we get into our experience, we're in our experience, and we have domestic blinders about what's going on and how that compares to the rest of other individuals. And so, the other individuals come in, and again, that light spreads, and then we know more about ourselves by learning about others.
Yes. I mean, if I didn't have a mirror, I wouldn't know I have brown hair.
Right.
I need that reflector. I would be looking at you and thinking I'm blonde just like Tricia, which is not nice.
What was that movie, that Steve Martin movie? Jarvis, you probably remember it. It was from the 80s, I think. I think it was The Jerk. Sure. Yeah, The Jerk. And it was Steve Martin. He's obviously a very white actor, and he's had gray hair since he was like 21 or something. And that was the beginning of The Jerk. He was raised in an African-American family, and I think they didn't have mirrors. Do you remember that? And so he thought he was African-American. And then you didn't realize it was an awakening story in The Jerk, right? And he didn't understand why he couldn't dance as well or sing as well. Do you remember that? Yeah. And then one day he saw a mirror or something like that. Like, I think they were trying to keep it from him. And so he had to leave home and go on his journey, because he was like, oh my gosh, that's not who I am.
That is a really good analogy, actually.
Well, you brought it up. That's a good one. It's a good old movie. So how do you encourage your clients to, because, people, when they're like, yes, I do, and they're listening to this show and they're like, well, how do I find my tribe? Like, how do you start to, first of all, obviously set an intention. How do you coach your clients to actually cultivate this wonderful gift of having a tribe and having community?
So I start, what's the thing that bothers you, the thing that you're missing? What's one of the deepest hurts you have? Which, if you're a new client, sometimes it can be hard to be vulnerable, but they know. So it plants the seed, what is missing, what hurts. And that's where I would say you want to go. If church was painful, then, church isn't the right tribe. And I also see people joining tribes that don't fit them because they just want to belong somewhere. But the tendency to join a tribe just for the sake of joining a tribe is that if it's not the right one for you, you continue to feel that you don't belong. You continue to feel alone in the crowd. And so I really ask people, what do they need? And then seek that out. So like I said, the example I gave earlier of, I didn't know how to deal with the disease of Alzheimer's, and that was causing me pain as a caregiver. So I went looking for information about that topic that was causing me pain. It's just like, if I have pain in church and I'm trying to spiritually seek, then I need to find other spiritual seekers who aren't doing it in the church vein. And, the Lightworkers Lab is also one of my primary communities. And I found it through you. And I stumbled upon a Facebook ad that you put out. So the universe has a way, if you know what the problem is and you know what it is you need, God has a way of bringing it to you. But if you don't know what the problem is, it's hard to ask for what you want. It's hard to be specific. to call it in. So I start there with the problem.
Yeah, that's great. And see what the problem is asking for.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And yes, the Lightworkers Lab, again, so that's one thing I tell all my clients too, well, do you need community? It's the Lightworkers Lab, Lightworkers Lab, Lightworkers Lab, Lightworkers Lab. It's amazing. We have 6,000 members now. It's really incredible.
It's great.
Yeah. And that's really cool. I didn't remember that. I remember because this was the first time I had opened up my mentoring program, and you and I had a call for it, and I was like, I think you just need to go to the lab. And you actually, then you very quickly became one of the teachers and one of the guides in the lab. That's amazing. So that's really worked out well.
It did work out really well. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just do see that as Spirit bringing to me exactly what I needed at that right moment. And it can be in a not straight path. And that's something I have to remind my clients of a lot. And I did a class in the lab last week on this, is when your expectation is for only to get this result, then you miss out on all the things that are being brought to you. So I'm willing to just be pretty open to what comes across my path. And if something speaks to me, I follow it, and that may lead me to something else that leads me to something else. And so I just kind of follow those if something catches my attention, today I'm really pretty quick to act on it.
Yeah. My husband, actually, one of his favorite affirmations that he does every morning is, I trust the process. And for him, that is a way to have the expectations of anything to be loosened from his grip, because he says that's his one of his most favorite things about life is that he doesn't know what's going to be created, what's going to be co-created around the corner, like the roller coaster,
Mm-hmm.
And what else is funny about expectations is, last week I had on the show Jeroen de Wit, and he is a QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique therapist, I guess you would say. And I had a session with him. In that session, I reviewed a life where I think I was actually in Lemuria, and the problem, or the thing of that life that I brought through, was how I had so many expectations about what kind of work was supposed to be done. And then I was very frustrated because there were, things that occurred, and I didn't see the lesson and the blessings that were happening in the spontaneous occurrences, because I had expectations, and then so I was just unsatisfied and actually didn't do as much work as I could. If I could have let go of those expectations, the exact same work, only better, could have been done.
Mm-hmm.
The same experience. And again, I want to say 323-524-2599 if you would like to call in to ask a question or get some intuitive insight. Nicole and I are here. So we also have another opportunity to find community to discuss, and there actually aren't that many spots left. We have the Bliss Retreat, which is a retreat in Loveland, Colorado, by the Lightworkers Lab. And Nicole, I can't believe it. We're going to get to meet in person.
I know. I can't wait. I'm such a toucher. I'm a massage therapist as well. And so I can't wait to touch everybody. I just want to touch everyone.
I love that.
Not in a creepy way, but, I want to give hugs. And I do think it's so wonderful today. It's a blessing and somewhat of a curse that technology is so big, because, we can connect in these I can connect with anyone all over the world at almost any time of day. So that's great. But at the same time, at least my four walls, there's just something missing there. And I think the face-to-face time is so important. I have a group that I go to on a weekly basis they're actually a church organization, but it's not in the church. We meet in homes and we do a little Bible study. And, I mentioned that I left the church because I didn't feel like I fit. And I gained enough self-awareness and ownership over who I am that now I can kind of go back into church systems and relate to the similarities and honor the differences and not feel sort of, strange. But meeting face to face with the same people every single week, there's something about that for me. And maybe it is because I'm touch is one of my primary love languages, but I need to be face to face with people and receive hugs, and, something about that's really powerful. So I'm so excited for the Bliss Retreat, so I can look people in the eye, I can touch them. yeah, it's going to be great.
And you could find out about the Bliss Retreat at thelightworkerslab.com/retreat. Like I said, I believe there are only a few spots left, and it is Labor Day weekend. I always get Labor Day and Memorial Day mixed up.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be there. I'm going to do a workshop, and you can hug Nicole.
Yes. Free hugs.
Free hugs. No charge. Well, we do have a caller. Shall we take the call now?
Yes.
Nicole? All right. Hi, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, this is Jody. Hi, Tricia. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
How are you?
How are you guys?
We're wonderful. How are you today, Jody? What's on your mind?
Oh, great. I was curious. I caught parts of it. So you talked about pain and like with church, if you're in church and the pain, and it doesn't like resonate with you, it doesn't, trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. But like when I go to church, I quit going to church. And because every time I went in there, I wanted to cry. Mm. So is that how would you explain that? Because I can't figure that out.
You wanted to cry. Okay.
Was that in? Yeah, like I go there and I just like this overwhelming sensation comes on me, and I start crying and I have to leave.
All right. Well, is that crying of release and because you're connecting blissfully, or is that crying because there's something that is hurting your heart?
And it's so hard to say. Hold on one second.
There we go. Yeah, we had a weird sound.
Okay.
Jarvis over there shaking his head.
Yeah, it was my car. I shut off my car. Sorry. Yeah, I go in there and it's not really sadness, but it's not really joy. It's really hard to explain, but it's like consumes like my whole body, and it's just like I start to like kind of get like a panic attack, and I have to leave. I can't sit there, and I don't know if it's because I'm an empath too, and I'm feeling like the emotions of like everybody because you're so crowded in there. Mm-hmm. And I didn't go to church for a long time, and then I joined a congregation because my children started going to school there. So we decided, and it felt good at the time, but then all of a sudden, like once we became members and we started going more, and now I've totally quit going again. So,
what do you think, Nicole? Do you have a knowing?
Yeah. So I actually suspect that this is you having an encounter with the Holy Spirit, and every time I am around people who are really connected and spirits in the vicinity, I am overwhelmed physically with a lot of tears, and a lot of times it feels heavy, like almost like a pressure. It doesn't hurt, but I can feel it in my physical body, and it does bring me to tears.
Yes.
So I don't think this is a bad thing for you. I just think that you acknowledging your body's way of acknowledging that you're having an experience with source energy, because I hear a lot of times we talk about vibration, and source energy is the highest vibration. And we, in our physical bodies, we have a denser, lower vibration. And so when those two vibrations get together, there can be a sense of the body reacting in what seems like a negative way, but it's not actually negative. It's just trying to adjust. It's like jump in a cold pool. At first it's very startling, but eventually your body acclimates, the water begins to feel good. And so I think if you take the judgment off the tears, what that might mean, or the fear of what that might mean, and just let it kind of unfold, you'll gain more information, and then you'll know, is this good for me? Is this not good for me? But you also might need to start smaller and be in smaller groups that are connecting with source. It may be too overwhelming for you. That's really going to be up to you and what you feel like you can handle,
That's beautiful.
Yeah, because like I kind of feel like the oddball in there then too. Like I don't really connect with anybody personally in there. I just kind of feel like out of place when I'm there, but then it's just the overwhelmingness and the cry, it really like gets to me. And and every time I think about going there, just like I start to like panic, like, okay, no, I'm not going to go to church, and my kids want to go to church. And it's like, I feel like I feel bad for my kids, and they'll go with the neighbors sometimes, just so they can go. and they're like, I want to go to church. And I'm just like, oh, I just can't go,
Well,
So I feel like I'm kind of robbing them of their experience.
Well, I want to. Sorry, go ahead.
My mom never went to church with me. When I did go to church and I couldn't drive yet, my mom would literally take me to church, drop me off, and come pick me up when the service was over. And so she never deprived me of what I wanted, but it wasn't for her. And that never separated us. It didn't feel strange to me at the time. It just felt like what we both needed. So I think I just want to encourage you.
Right.
It is okay to be different. It's okay to not be able to do it. But I think if you go back in with an awareness of it's okay to be crying, it's okay to feel emotionally overcome, and then see if that makes a difference. If it doesn't, if you can't shake that off, maybe you try a different, smaller community.
Yeah.
I sense.
Yeah, because we don't have any different spiritual places.
Yeah.
Like a spiritual place. I live in kind of a small town, so it's like it's just all Christian-based town. So,
Jody, I feel that there is some. I mean, you're expressing a bit of self-judgment about whether you fit in or whether you are being there for your kids. So let's go ahead and release that. Just go ahead and release it, and you've expressed it. So now that you've expressed it, so you know that that's not true. That's not helpful or accurate.
Okay.
And also, Spirit never gives us anything. God never gives us anything that is too much for us. Why? Because we have free will, and we have absolute free will.
Right.
And so if you're feeling that the power of the Holy Spirit or being in the presence of love in that way, then just affirm, okay, but that's all right. I'm never going to get anything that I can't handle because I have absolute free will. And you can extend that. You can extend that to your sensitivity, your physical, emotional, and nervous system type of sensitivity about being an empath or an HSP. Nothing is going to happen to me that I can't handle in this experience. And me perceiving other people's feelings and emotions and thoughts is my choice or not. So at this moment, I only observe my own thoughts and feelings that are native to me, and I allow everyone else to have their experience separate so that I can be comfortable, So if you can just kind of shift your awareness in all those ways to try it out again with a fresh outlook. And it's okay if it isn't the thing for you. It's totally okay too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have to say one last thing. You remind me of my grandmother. She's always told me since I was young that she always said, God never gives you anything he doesn't think you can handle.
Right. Absolutely. That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling, Jody.
Well,
let us know how it goes.
I appreciate it. And I'll see you two both at the Bliss Retreat. I'm so excited. I can hardly wait.
Us too. Thank you so much for calling in today, Jody.
Thanks. You guys have a great day.
You too.
Bye, Jody. Yeah, I'm going to be a puddle of tears at the Bliss Retreat. I already know it. I'm usually such a bubbly, happy person, but when I do gather with other members who are seeking God, and sometimes God enters the scene in a really tangible way for me, I bawl my eyes out. So I have a feeling a lot of time at the retreat I'm going to be crying.
Well, yeah, it's like we've all been doing online dating for a long time. And you're like, we're in love, I think. That's weird. Because we've never met. We are. Well, I met Crystal, I think a whole year. I think we Crystal and I, when we first met in physical person, was basically the day before we were going to do a program together. We were going to, the teacher's development program that we did last year. That was the first time we met in person. I went to Texas to meet her. I was like, how about we meet? And so I went to meet her, and I remember I walked in, I met her she was visiting a different city, even though she lives in Texas, and I met her in the hotel lobby where she was, and we like approached each other, and it was weird. It was like we didn't know. She was like, "Are you real?" And I was like, "I think so. Are you?" She goes, "You're not catfishing me. You're actually you." And I was like, "I don't know. I think so." We like hugged, and we're like, "I don't know what to do now. This is weird. You have a body."
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lauren too, like meeting Lauren Antuofermo in person, it was like, it's just amazing. So this is actually a really cool discussion, because actually the online community is really important and really fruitful and really available to us. But I love that you're encouraging us to get physical in-person community as well.
Yeah. I think it's important.
You know what? Can I just say that people, if you feel like you don't have a community physically, start one with Meetup, meetup.com, right? I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I didn't want to forget that.
Yeah, Meetup's a great resource. There are lots going on in the community. Just, restaurants have different tastings, or if you love yoga, there are lots of yoga retreats or classes. So whatever your personal interest is, you can find a group meeting, a book club. I mean, it can be anything. So it's just about taking that first step. I think it can be intimidating for a lot of people. I'm an introvert. And so for me, getting, out amongst a group of people can be intimidating, but it's really valuable when I'll just kind of put my reservations to the side and just kind of bite the bullet. Mm-hmm. It always goes well. And I feel like it's just, there's a connection in person that online is great, but in person, there's something there that just adds a little more to the dynamic.
What I love about the Bliss Retreat that we're going to is that they also have 1,000 kitties. And so I get to be in person in kitty with kitties. They have, I just had to mention that. I'm always thinking about kitties. But that's part of the reason I'm emphasize introversion as well. And I'd love to I actually want to spend time with my cats all the time. And so I don't leave the house. But it's actually really good to do things that are different, whether it is traveling, even if you're like, I'm introverted and I don't really like to leave home. But it's fantastic to do things that are different. And to be able to make the decision to do it is just follow the loving part of it. Forget about the fear part of it. It exists. You can acknowledge it and say, peace, I don't need you. And just focus on the loving intention about the reason you're choosing to go do something different or to join a community, whether it's online or in person. Because just, the part of you that is being fearful is just nudging you to focus upon the love part of it.
Yes. And I love how you said start your own community, because Crystal started the Lightworkers Lab because she lived in a rural area where she couldn't really get face-to-face that often with that many people. And so out of this necessity, this grew. And then I've started a group on Facebook, Positive Powers, because my feed, and I've heard other people's feeds kind of in our political climate, have been very negative or fear-based, or just seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook that you don't want necessarily to see. And so I was on a mission to fill the feed with something fun and that would make you smile or make you think in a positive way. And then now, my grandfather passed in March, and I would love a grief support group, and I don't necessarily connect to the ones that are in my area. And so I'm going to start my own. It's great to start your own thing. If there's something that you're passionate about and it doesn't exist already, we are creators for a reason. Start it, because if you want it, somebody else out there does too.
Oh, that's beautiful. So your Positive Powers group is on Facebook?
It's on Facebook, yes.
So can you tell them it's facebook.com/group/
I think it's /Positive Powers, but if you just, like you said, if you just search Positive Powers, it comes up in groups. And so you can ask to join.
Jarvis found it. That's wonderful. Yeah. Because talking about, gosh, I think I'm feeling another message come through about the importance of community, and particularly like you're talking about positive community, because there is this collective conscious draw, this 3D confined matrix draw to be engaged in conversation about, say, politics and social current events in a way that is negative. There is a person who is sort of in my friend network, and I guess I would say we're friends, but we're like acquaintances. Every now and again we're at the same gathering. That's about it. But this person put up a post saying that if you are not posting about how angry you are about what's going on, then basically that's unethical. And I was like, what? We have to be saying we're mad? We have to be posting about being angry? And I just felt that was really sad, because this person is clearly engaged in a community that is sort of negative and low vibrational. And I really feel like I want to rescue this person and say, no, you don't have to live that way. You need to pop into something where real creator energy is. If you want to create change and shift it to positivity, being angry and fighting war is not actually how we connect with peace and love. And
Yeah.
I know that this person's heart is in the right place, but it's unfortunately being held prisoner to all of this negative programming about what the right thing to do is. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for creating that community. I think that's important, Nicole.
Thank you. Yeah, I really just wanted a place where I could go to even express positivity when I don't feel positive, when I am angry, because I do always try to turn my focus back to love, to peace, to clarity, to calm. These are things that are important to me and I try to focus on, but I get angry. I'm human. However, when I'm angry and I want to save the world because I'm fearful or angry about a situation of injustice, whatever it might be, the best thing I can do is turn that fuel into something positive. And so I really created Positive Powers, not as like a let's be all love and peace and Pollyanna land, but what can I do when I feel these feelings and I don't know what to do with them? I can flex my positive muscles. That's something I can do that has a ripple effect. And so it's almost an outlet for me when I don't feel good as much as it is when I'm having a happy, shiny day and I want to share that with everybody.
Yes, right. We don't condone spiritual bypassing and being falsely positive. No, of course not. The negative emotions are there to be teachers as well. This reminds me of my friend who was having a really, really difficult time in his life. Basically everything was just crap. No money, no job, no nothing. And so he's a very spiritual person. And so he woke up that day and said, well, I have my health, I have my back, and I need help. So I'm going to go be help. Basically activate the frequency of help by being help. And so he did go and connect and help a friend who didn't have a strong enough back, and because that was the thing he had to offer. And by the end of the day, he had a new job. And the next day he had they gave him a deposit for a bonus to join the new job. And so it kind of just took care of all of the needs that he was experiencing, all of the pain he was experiencing the day before, by just shifting to something that was a positive expression of the thing that was painful for him. Went deeper into what the pain and the sort of negative feelings were by loving them, expressing them lovingly.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly powerful and beautiful. And I love hearing those stories because it reminds me that does work. It does have, sometimes I feel like it's not enough just to post a cute, sweet, funny meme or to share a story or an encouragement, but it is enough. It is enough. And you never know what those small things that you can do you don't know what difference they can make until you start to see that stuff roll in, the deposit for the apartment, or I've had people reach out to me and say, I really needed that message today. Thank you. And I'm like, okay, well, I did too. So I'm glad I shared it, or whatever it is. But yeah, little things make a big difference. And I love that he did that and, it got returned. That's really powerful.
Well, the universe is so literal. As creators, we are so literal. And, we're kind of redeeming some of the Christianity, and it's not, the Bible isn't necessarily Christian. I got to say, it's a sacred text that has a lot of wisdom, and there are other sacred texts that have a lot of wisdom and a lot of spirit and a lot of truth as well. But I know the Bible because of my background. But, we were created in God's image. We are created in God's image, meaning that we are creators. So Mother, Father, God, Source Energy made us absolute creators. And that is a very literal expression, and the universe is very literal. Energy is very literal. So if you need help, create help. If you're feeling negative and you're feeling angry, and so you don't need anger because you have anger right now. Okay, I have anger. That's fine. So what I desire as a salve, as a balm to release and move through my anger is positivity. And so I'm going to create positivity from this feeling of anger. That's how literal the universe is. And yeah, I love that. So if like you say, just the positive memes or whatever like that, they seem flippant. Not if behind it, and if there's any nugget of love, a loving intention, then it's real. It's powerful. It's powerful, like Nicole Powers full. What?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And Powers is one of the orders of, what is he called? One of the orders of the angels, as described in the Bible. You know this? The virtues, the powers. That's one of the kinds of classifications of angels. You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Oh,
See,
that's cool.
Every day. Yeah, that's really cool. I feel very that my last name is part of my identity. Even my first name. I think names are powerful, and or they can be. And so that's really cool. I love to learn new things about names, and so I'm going to have to look more into that. That's exciting.
Yeah, there's like the seraphim, the cherubim, there are the virtues and the powers. Those are the ones I can think. I think there are more classifications than that in that particular system. But yeah, that's that's you, honey. Well, we have a few minutes left. Why don't you tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, and what kind of services and programs, and what kind of love you're offering with your empowerment coaching and your healing arts.
Sure. So if you live in Oklahoma, I offer hands-on services. I do massage therapy and energy healing. If you are anywhere else in the world, the things that you can come and see me for, we can do remote energy healing like I did with Tricia, just a snippet of yesterday. We can do one-on-one coaching. We can do readings if you want more intuitive, either angel card readings or just an intuitive psychic reading. I do those as well. If you want any of those services or you want to contact me, NicolePowers.net. You can find my pricing and how to contact me right there. And then you can always connect with me through the lab or through Positive Powers on Facebook. So and I also do want to mention, I am going to start a physical grief support group here in my area, but then I'm also going to do a virtual grief support group. I did a series of classes in the lab on grief, and it was really illuminating to me how many people are grieving from many different things, not just death, but job loss, love loss, breakup, divorce, etc. And so I'm going to start grief groups online as well. So if you're interested in that topic or that's something you're going through, I would love for you to email me or reach out to me, private message me through Facebook. That's going to be starting pretty soon. So I'd love to hear from you if that interests you.
Nicole, I would like to offer my services if you're interested. When you start that community, I could offer a talk or something on grieving the loss of an animal, because that sometimes I think that the people who are very, with their animal family, I often get my clients feeling like they're not allowed to have that deep grief about losing an animal because there are people in society who think it's just an animal. It's not like really a person or anything. So
right.
If that's something I would love to help people with if you're interested.
I would love that, Tricia. I would absolutely love that. Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do. So again, it is NicolePowers.net. And I think we're just about out of time. So I want to thank you so much for coming on today. And I hope you will come back again sometime, Nicole. Wonderful light you bring us.
Thank you for having me. I loved it.
Oh, thank you. And again, I would love to remind you all that my website is TriciaCarrCharm.com for my services and my upcoming animal communication program, which is starting soon. There's an early bird pricing. You want to sign up before July 7th, I think it is. And that is TriciaCarrCharm.com/animal-communication. I'll also have my one-on-one services up there. My Patreon community is patreon.com/TriciaCarr. And I guess that's about it for me today. And Jarvis Essex, my producer, what a beautiful show you produced. Thank you so much. So we will see you next week. Please do find us also on iTunes. Like, subscribe, share, comment, review, and youtube.com/Tricia Carr and both of those feeds I post not only this show, but other types of offering, channeling, and meditations, and so forth. So we will see you next week at 11 a.m. Pacific. And thank you so much for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.